Have you ever asked yourself why change feels almost impossible, even when you know exactly what you need to do? You tell yourself you'll stop overthinking. You'll stop reacting the same way. You'll finally create the future you've been dreaming of. And yet, within days, sometimes hours, you find yourself back in the same patterns, same thoughts, same emotions, same life. It's frustrating, it's painful. And it makes you wonder, is there something wrong with me? But here's the truth, there's nothing wrong with you. You're simply living inside an invisible prison, not a prison of walls and bars, but a prison of the mind. A prison built from the same 60,000 thoughts you recycle every single day. A prison guarded by the same emotions that keep dragging your body back into the past. It's like trying to turn a massive ship around, only to realize the ocean currents underneath are pulling you back to the same shore. That's why most people don't change. Not because they don't want to, but because they don't even see the invisible currents holding them back. Now, what if I told you the first step to freedom is not forcing yourself to change, but observing yourself as if you were your own experiment? Stay with me here. Most people try to change with willpower. They grit their teeth, they make resolutions, they swear tomorrow will be different, and yet by next week, they're back in the same old habits. Why? Because willpower is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. You can push it down for a while, but eventually it bursts back to the surface, stronger than before. So what's the real solution? Awareness. You have to become the scientist of your own mind, the observer, the one who steps outside the storm and starts taking notes. Interactive. Example. Let's try something right now. Think back to your day today. Ask yourself, how many times did I react out of habit? How many times did I let an old emotion decide for me? How many times did I replay the same story in my head, almost like a broken record? That's data. That's your experiment. And the moment you can see your old self clearly, you're no longer fully trapped by it. Metaphor, the lab coat. Think of it like putting on a lab coat and studying your own mind as if it were a subject in a research project. You're not judging yourself. You're observing. You're collecting data. Because the truth is you can't change what you can't see. And when you start noticing your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions, you're already taking back power. You're already loosening the bars of the invisible prison. The shift of identity. Here's the magic. The moment you start observing, you stop identifying. You stop saying, I am angry, and you start saying, there goes anger again. You stop saying, I am anxious, and you start saying, there's anxiety trying to take over. Do you feel the difference? One keeps you trapped, the other puts you in control. This is not theory, this is practice. Every time you notice, every time you write it down, every time you step back, you are pulling yourself out of the old self and into the role of creator. The cliff. But here's the catch. Becoming the scientist is only the beginning, because as soon as you stop living in the past, you will face something even more terrifying, the unknown. And that's where most people quit. That's where the old self fights back the hardest. Because it's safer to live in the prison you know than to walk into a freedom you don't understand. But if you dare to cross that line, that's where transformation begins. So here's the truth. No one tells you. The moment you step out of your old patterns, when you finally stop living in the past, something terrifying happens. You step into the unknown, and suddenly, your body panics, your mind screams, your emotions flare up, because the unknown feels unsafe. It feels like danger. It feels like standing on the edge of a cliff, looking out into a fog where you can't see the ground. The comfort of the prison. Think about it. Why do people stay in toxic relationships? Why do they stay in jobs they hate? Why do they repeat the same cycles of pain over and over again? Because as painful as it is, it's familiar, it's predictable. And the mind prefers a predictable prison over an unpredictable freedom. It's like a prisoner who spends 20 years behind bars. The day he's released, he doesn't run into the sunlight, he hesitates, because the world outside feels too big, too uncertain. And sometimes, he even begs to go back into the cell. That's what happens to us. We beg for change, and then retreat back to what we know. The body as the past. Here's the science behind it. Your body has memorized your old emotions so deeply that it has become your unconscious mind. Fear, anger, guilt, they are hardwired into your nervous system. So when you try to live differently, your body literally revolts. It says, wait, where's my daily dose of stress? Where's my familiar worry? Where's the anxiety I know so well? And when it doesn't get it, it throws a tantrum. That's why you feel restless when you try to meditate. That's why you feel uncomfortable when you break a habit. That's why the unknown feels unbearable. It's not because you're broken, it's because your body is addicted to the past. The emotional storm. And here's where most people quit. They try to change, they feel the discomfort, and they mistake it for a sign that they're doing something wrong. But the truth is, that discomfort is the proof that you're doing something right. It's the sign that the old self is dying, and every death feels like chaos before it feels like rebirth. Yet most people don't know this, so they run back. They choose the storm they know over the peace they don't understand. The trap of the unknown. Let me ask you something. How many times have you set a goal and then sabotaged yourself the moment things got uncomfortable? Maybe you wanted to lose weight, and the first week you crushed it. But then the cravings hit, the doubts hit, and suddenly you're back in the old patterns. Or maybe you wanted to start a new business. You had the vision, the excitement. But then came the fear. What if I fail? What if I look stupid? What if I lose everything? And so you never even started. That's the trap of the unknown. Not knowing makes you retreat, and retreat keeps you stuck. The point of maximum resistance. And here's the paradox. The moment you're closest to transformation is the moment that feels the hardest. It's when your mind screams, your body resists, and your emotions flare up. That is the threshold, the point of maximum resistance. And crossing that threshold is the difference between a life of repetition and a life of creation. Cliffhanger to the solution. So the question is, will you keep choosing the prison because it feels familiar? Or will you dare to step into the unknown long enough for it to become your new home? Because in the next step, I'll show you exactly how to do that. How to rewire your brain, retrain your body, and align your energy so that the unknown no longer feels like fear, but feels like freedom. And once you learn how, you'll never look at change the same way again. So how do you cross that line? How do you step into the unknown and stay there long enough for it to become your new reality? This is the ultimate question. And the answer is not what most people think. It's not about fighting the old self. It's not about forcing discipline. It's not about hustling harder. The real solution is this. You must fall in love with the future version of yourself so deeply, so consistently, that the old self simply loses its grip. The science of becoming. Let me explain. Every time you choose a new thought, a new emotion, a new action, you are rewiring your brain. Neuroplasticity means your neurons are constantly forming new connections. But here's the catch. If you only do it once in a while, the old wiring stays stronger. Imagine trying to carve a new trail in a forest. The first time you walk it, the path is rough, filled with branches. But the more you walk it day after day, the clearer it becomes. Until one day, it's the easiest path to take. That's what happens in your brain. Each time you embody the new self, even for a few seconds, you're carving the new trail. And the more you walk it, the more your body begins to memorize it as the new normal. Heart and mind coherence. But here's the secret most people miss. It's not enough to think differently. You must feel differently. Your brain creates the electrical blueprint. Your heart provides the magnetic charge. Together, they generate the electromagnetic field that shapes your experience. When your thoughts and feelings are misaligned, your signal is weak. But when intention and emotion merge into coherence, you're broadcasting a powerful, unified message to the field around you. Neville Goddard called it, assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Joe Dispenza calls it heart-brain coherence. But no matter the name, the principle is the same. Think it, feel it, be it. Practical exercise. Let's make this practical right now. 1. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the future version of yourself you desire most. Not vague, specific. See yourself there, the health, the freedom, the love, the abundance. 2. Now, instead of asking, when will it happen? Step into the feeling of it already being real. What would you feel? Relief, gratitude, joy, freedom. Let that emotion rise in your chest. 3. Breathe it in. With every inhale, intensify it. With every exhale, let it expand into your body. 4. Hold it, amplify it. For these moments, you're no longer chasing your future, you're living it. That's the secret, not hoping, not begging, not waiting, but embodying right now the state of being that matches your vision. Why this works? Your body doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. When you sustain the elevated emotion of the future, your nervous system begins to believe it's already here. And when your body believes, your mind follows. And when both align, your reality must shift to reflect it. Think about it. You've been living in the past because your body memorized old emotions. Now you're teaching it to memorize the future instead. This is how you break the cycle. This is how you escape the prison, not by resisting the old, but by rehearsing the new until it becomes who you are. Storytelling anchor. Let me give you a story. There was a man who had lived his whole life in scarcity. He woke up every day worrying about bills, debts, survival. Even when he tried to think positive, his body was addicted to stress. One day, he began practicing this. Each morning, before the day began, he closed his eyes and imagined the freedom of being debt-free. He felt the relief in his chest, the gratitude in his heart. He practiced until that feeling became more familiar than the fear. And then something shifted. Unexpected opportunities appeared. People showed up to help. Ideas flowed, not because of magic, but because his energy finally matched the reality he wanted. He wasn't just waiting for abundance, he was broadcasting it, and the universe simply mirrored it back. The new identity. Here's the final piece. This isn't about a quick fix. This isn't about manifesting once and then going back to the old. This is about sustaining the new identity until it becomes automatic. The same way you once memorized stress, you can now memorize joy. The same way you once memorized fear, you can now memorize gratitude. The same way you once memorized survival, you can now memorize creation. It's about consistency. Every day, for even a few minutes, you step into the new self. And every time you do, the old self weakens a little more. Until one day, you wake up and realize you're no longer trying to become that person. You are that person, the final invitation. So here's my invitation to you. Stop living as a prisoner of your past. Stop letting fear of the unknown drag you back. Instead, fall in love with your future. Practice it, feel it, be it. Because the more you sustain the new self, the more inevitable it becomes. And the day will come when your external reality has no choice but to catch up with your internal state. That is the definitive solution. That is the key to creation. And it has always been in your hands. If this message spoke to you, don't just close the video and walk away. Prove to yourself you're ready for change. Hit that like button right now. It tells me you're committed. Drop a comment below with one thing you're letting go of today, because when you write it, you own it. And make sure you subscribe and turn on the bell, because this journey doesn't end here. Every video is another step, another key, another piece of the puzzle. Don't just watch, be part of this movement. Your future self is waiting. And trust me, you don't want to keep them waiting any longer.